You have a very interesting story because you spent a long time, well, how long was it? 7, 8 years in a tech company. And then you start
Almost seven
a
years, yeah.
7 years.
hmm
And then you leave and you have your own skincare company. So I just want to understand, how do you transition from this to that? How long did it take you to plan it? Just
hmm
tell me the story behind it.
Sure. So I've been working, well, I was working at this tech company based in Toronto, Canada for almost 7 years. And that's because when I moved to Toronto, I decided that I was going to work for a tech company. And I found this really great tech company in the SaaS space, item space. And I think I did pretty well there. But then, after like more than 6 years, you start to realize that you're not really growing anymore, right? And I felt like, well, maybe this year is the year that I should try to realign to my purpose. And in the meantime, actually it was about 2.5 years ago, I decided to start a skincare business, which I treated as a passion project. Just something that I thought, I'd do on the side while I was still working for that tech company. And yeah, I didn't really put that much effort into it. I had a Shopify website. I had products to sell that I thought would be very valuable. And surprisingly enough, people found it valuable. People all over the US and Canada have been ordering my products. And it's in the natural skin care space. It's called Tallowed and Free. So I started that over 2 years ago. And then this year, I also ran for office. So I live here in Canada, and there was a federal election in April. And I ran as an MP candidate against the Minister of Foreign Affairs at that time, Melanie Joly. And while I was campaigning, I actually took a leave of absence from that tech company, and I had the opportunity to work with, my volunteers who were very passionate about turning Canada, turning around what's happening here and making it better, right? And helping create a positive change for the country. So it felt like, wow, like, I would be so tired knocking on doors every day, helping put up posters, attending events, but somehow I felt like alive. And I realized that the reason why I felt that way is because I was working with people that I enjoy working with, people who are mission led, people who are passionate about what they're doing and who are not doing this for necessarily for ego-driven purposes, right? It was really because they want to have a better future. And that made me realize that when I am working towards something that is mission-led with people who are passionate and where I get to tap on my creativity, my the skills that I acquired over the years, like people skills, I realized that that makes me feel alive. That makes me feel like I have a sense of purpose. And when I went back to work after the elections, I lost. But after that, I just felt like, I didn't fit in anymore in that tech company. It really felt like I grew in a different way where I just didn't fit in there anymore. And I told that to my CEO, and he was very understanding. He completely understood where I was coming from. So I decided to leave that tech company, and focus on scaling Tallow and Free, my natural skincare business, and see what happens. Like bet on myself, bet on this thing that, I built on the side, and see what happens if I put the same energy, same effort, same passion that I put in my political campaign.
I think it's time for us to jump into the business itself. Talk to
Yeah.
us about the products. Talk to us about what you're selling. And maybe how does one even start the skincare brand? I mean, it's now that you have it, I mean, great, but like it doesn't sound like something I could just start from, in a night. So how did you get started and what are the products that you offer today?
Yeah, I think my path is very unique, right? It's not like I was an esthetician. I was like, I'm gonna make my skincare products. It's not like I'm a, chemist or anything like that. It was when I turned like around 31, 32 years old, I started caring about health a lot. I started caring about, what I put on my body, what I eat. And because, like women, right? Generally speaking, but even men, like, whatever we put on our body affects our fertility. It affects our endocrine system. And I learned about how a lot of these cosmetics, these skincare products that we use, that we pay a lot of money for, actually affect our it affects our endocrine system because it has, well, they have endocrine disrupting chemicals. And also, a lot of them have known carcinogens. So I started paying attention to that stuff, and I decided that I'm gonna look for alternatives. And then I learned about tallow, beef tallow, as an alternative to conventional lotions and moisturizer. And I looked it up and I thought it was a bit pricey. So I was like, I could probably make this. And then I decided I was gonna make them. And then I just started posting about them on Instagram. I didn't even have a website, and people were ordering, right? People in my network. And then one day, one of my acquaintances decided to interview me. She's a journalist for an online magazine about my skincare product. And so I thought, okay, well, if she's going to interview me and this article is going to get published, I have to build a website, right? So it looks legit. And I did that within like 2 hours with an iPhone and a Shopify website. And yeah, and then people just started ordering online, like I don't even use Facebook or Instagram ads. I tried Google ads for like a couple of days, but it wasn't really working. So what works is, just people talking about the products, right? I was on Twitter a lot too, tweeting about it, Instagram, posting some stories, some posts, and it just took off. So basically, it started from a need, right? There was a problem I was passionate about solving, and I created a solution to solve that problem. And that solution, well, those solutions are the products, and people are willing to pay for the products. So that's how Tallowed and Free was born.
Did you ask around if other people had the same concerns, or you
No.
just launched and you knew that
Yeah.
this was a problem you wanted to solve?
Yeah. Because, like what Steve Jobs says, right? Like sometimes people don't really know what they want or what they need. So you just have to like create it for them. And yeah, and you know what? So what people want and need, they need something that works, right? My target market, they want something that works. They want something that is natural, something that would reassure them that they're not going to get sick or harmed by, the products that they're using. And that's what I'm selling them, right? I'm selling them reassurance. I'm selling them something that is natural and effective, something that is affordable for them. And that's why my return customer rate is about 22%. So they find us, they order the product, and then they come back.
That's awesome. And were
Yeah.
you were you surprised by the market's reaction? I mean, as soon as you started posting, people started buying. Did you expect it, or
No, I
was that a
wasn't
surprise?
expect. You know what? It's actually tricky. It's like a part of me didn't expect it to be on demand like that, but there was a part of me that just knew that it's gonna work. Like I going back to like, listening to that inner voice. Yeah, and I guess fate, right? And I think it's also the authenticity. So what I notice is that people also like the brand. There's a lot of, tallow-based skincare products out there now, right? It's still like a niche market, but there's a plenty of natural skincare brands out there. There's plenty of tallow-based skincare products, but my customers buy my products and return because they like the brand, they like the customer service, they like the quality of the products, and they also get to see who is behind it, right? So, you know what they say that people don't just buy your products, they also buy the brand, they also buy the person who is behind it. So I think those formula works, they get to be reassured by somebody, like a real person that they know is behind this skincare brand.
So let me end with this. What would make you feel that you made it with your company? What's the big milestone that you're looking for? And you'll be like, you know what? I actually won. I did this.
I think it's like when once well, not that I think, but it's really when once I start to see my products in hundreds of retail stores across Canada and the US. And once, we're hitting millions of revenue and profit, right? Yeah.
Margie, I love the confidence and the energy. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
And thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you, Antoine, and to share, my learning experience with trying to scale my skincare business.
Awesome.